Hello.
Okay. We're going to try
Okay.
again.
Yes. Yes. This sounds better.
Yeah, okay. Fingers crossed it'll be slightly better. I'm not going to lie, I probably jinxed myself because just the other day I was thinking, so far I've done well with the whole Wi-Fi connection. It's always going to happen at some point.
No, this is good. This is much better. I think we're on to a winner now, so let's get cracking.
Right. I'm jinxed. But, okay, so let's just retract a little bit. So, Serena Guthrie, big dog in netball, 98 has played in 3 World Cups, 2 Commonwealth Games, including that famous Commonwealth Games goal in 2016. It's fair to say you're one of the finest mid-court players in the world at the moment, as well as probably one of the best netballers this country has ever produced. So thank you so much for finding the time to speak to me. Really, really appreciate it.
No, it's great to be here, mate.
No, okay, so I'll start as we move on, and there's one thing that everyone wants to know about you. How do you like your tea?
I'm actually quite... Yes, this is a cup of tea. This actually is a cup of tea. I've kind of been drinking it before. Oh, shoot, I just spilled it on the floor. Look at that. I'll tidy that up after.
I'll pay you for that later. But I'm going to ask you 5 quick fire questions, all right?
Okay, okay.
Okay, are you ready?
I'm ready, I'm ready.
Okay. Breakfast tea or herbal tea?
Breakfast tea. If it's in the morning, breakfast tea.
Okay. Tea bag or loose tea leaves?
Oh, loose tea. I'm a loose tea fan, yeah.
You know what? You're the first person that said that. Interesting. Okay, question number 3. Sugar, milk, or neither?
Milk. No sugar. Hobnob, all the way.
Does tea taste better or made by someone else?
I think I make the best tea, so always by me. I back myself.
Sometimes I wouldn't like risking it, if you know what I mean. I don't like trusting someone else.
It's true. I never mess it up. I never have a bad tea when I make it myself. You know? It's true.
Well, here's to that. All right, so everyone now knows how netball legend Serena Guthrie has her cup of tea. Perfect. What more do you want? Okay, so I pre-warned you. I ask all of my Cuppa and Natter guests 3 questions, all right? So without further ado, the first question comes from my Cuppa and Natter last Thursday, which was Great Britain and England hockey legend Anna Toman. So we were talking about lockdown and the situation we find ourselves in at the moment, and how you're living under the same roof with the same people all the time. But if you choose 3 people to spend lockdown with, it can be absolutely anyone. You don't have to know them. They don't have to be still like living on the planet. You know, they could be anyone. 3 people. Who would it be?
Okay, this is a great question, by the way. So my first guy, and it's my go-to for anything, whether it be dinner or last person on earth, would be David Attenborough, because he's just an absolute legend, and I think he would have the most incredible stories to get you through lockdown. So he's like my number 1. Yeah. Oh, really? There you go. My second one would be Alan Carr, because you just need someone to have a laugh, don't you, and not take things too seriously, and I think he'd be perfect for that.
What a bloke.
He is a great bloke. And then my third one I'm obviously a big fan of music, and I would have to pick Amy Winehouse, because she could just like sing you to sleep, lull you. She's got a bit of everything, isn't she? You know, you could just literally just have concerts every night with her, just like singing away. It'd be perfect.
So are we hearing this a bit of a juicy gossip here? Serena Guthrie fancies herself as
I didn't say I was a singer. I said I was a fan of music. All right, you are not going to get me to sing on this.
Next time, if I give you something from
yeah, maybe a bit of Dutch courage.
Okay, Alan Alan Carr, Amy Winehouse, not a bad that. I think you'll have fun.
I think it'd be a good crack. Yeah, a bit of a motley crew, but I think that's why it would be really fun.
Yeah, I don't think you'd be bored. I'll tell you that.
Exactly.
Okay. So moving on to question number 2. Okay, so I'm going to ask you back. Okay, the location is the Gold Coast in Australia. Date the 15th of April 2018. Okay, it feels like yesterday for me. I don't know how it feels for you, but obviously it was the first time Team England won Commonwealth Games gold medal in netball. Okay, so it's a historic day for you guys. And I remember the final day of competition, I think, and we had finished the hockey tournament the day before, and we were all really keen to go and watch you guys in the final. But as you can imagine, the tickets were like gold dust. We couldn't get anything here. So we watched the game live in a sports bar. It was jam-packed, this bar. People of all ages watching. Obviously, we were the only English people in the whole place. But, I mean, for you guys, netball is so renowned for being such a fast-paced game, you know, split decisions, winning or losing you the game. And obviously, to win the game in the way that you did, with the decisive goal coming in at last, just, you know, unreal. You couldn't write it, could you? And you see, you know, all the newspapers the next day, those famous celebration photos. Yeah. My question is, smile. How did it feel won Commonwealth Games gold? And then when
yeah, well, at the time, I was hurting quite a lot because I actually got cramp. I had to call the time and take myself off. Which, as embarrassing as it sounds as an athlete to say that it was cramp that made you have to come off in a gold medal game, yeah, I was that guy. So I was in quite a bit of pain, but I think the adrenaline kind of got me up and got me out and like celebrating with everybody when Helen scored that last goal. But it was a surreal moment because we couldn't quite believe we'd done it, you know, and it's an interesting game for us because there was almost no pressure. So we really enjoyed the game from that perspective because all the pressure was on them. Everyone had expected Australia to win. Obviously, home Commonwealth Games, like it was a given almost. Like the media, everything, like they were expecting, you know, Australia as like Team Australia. That was like a given medal for them. So for them not to get a gold in that event, obviously, was huge for them. And for us to just realise that we were the guys to take it off them was, yeah, it was a pretty amazing feeling because we all know that, you know, in that Commonwealth Games as well, Australia just loved to talk about Australia and how well they were doing. And I think like, yeah, just to kind of, you know, just kind of stick your hand up and say, actually, mate, not today, and steal that medal off them was a pretty nice feeling. And it was a great day. We were knackered by the end of it. We could barely celebrate, to be honest with you. It was the worst celebration for the greatest sporting moment of that team. But it was, yeah, it was worth it, man. It was so good.
I mean, I can't imagine the adrenaline you must have felt. You know, you obviously put in a right shift to come off with cramp during the game. I mean, you as the central figure within that team, you know, running the show in the middle of the call. But I guess, like, in terms of going back to the semi-final where you beat, you won by exactly the same margin, and so close even in the semi-final. Did you ever think a bit of deja vu in that final? Here we go again.
A little bit, yeah. I mean, the semi-final, it's interesting because I still haven't watched the semi-final because I was so petrified playing the semi-final because we were just so scared that we might not get there again, you know. And it was that fear was really overwhelming. So that was just such a relief when we won that game. So then when it was kind of happening again, it's almost felt like it was just supposed to be that way. So it kept things lighthearted because you couldn't write it like that 2 days in a row, like you say. Like, so yeah, so when it happened, we were like, we just literally won a semi-final by 1 and a final by 1 goal. So, you know, yeah, I mean, we laugh about it now, but obviously, you know, a lot of the team were on tender hooks during those moments when it was Joe, obviously, in the semi-final game, and then it was Helen in the gold medal match to win us the game. So Yeah, it was. It's an intense moment, isn't it? It's just like
Oh,
a very, very intense moment. I think whether you're playing, watching, it doesn't matter. Yeah, I couldn't imagine being on the other side of that. You know, I
yeah.
really couldn't.
I kind of got a little bit of a picture of how that looked, being in that sports bar, surrounded by Australians. Us hockey girls were honestly losing our marbles, going absolutely crazy. But it's the fine margins, isn't it? And actually, if Helen hadn't scored that goal right at the end, I don't know what could have been. And
Exactly.
I guess it's the beauty of sport, really, isn't it? But yeah, thank God that you guys were on the winning side. And I tell you, it's still remarkable there for the best sporting matches I've ever watched, hands
Oh,
down.
thanks, mate.
Yeah, not
Yeah,
at
it
all.
was.
Yeah,
It was a good day. It was a good day. But
yeah. One you'll remember for a very long time.
yeah, I do need to watch the matches at some point. I think just to make it feel a bit more real, you know, because you kind of we had to crack back on as well afterwards. A bit like with most of the sports, you know, you kind of in it doing your thing, and then you go back home and you're straight either into a league or going off to some other championship, or there's something else to focus on. So yeah, it's nice to just stop every now and then and just go, oh yeah, it's cool, man. We actually did that, you know, because you just had to keep moving on after the competition because of where it sat in the sporting calendar. So, and plus I was playing in Australia, which was not a good place to be after stealing a medal away from them. So yeah, we kind of just kept our smiles under wraps and just clocked and cracked on in the league.
The crowd. Did
No, do you know what? It was weird. A lot of the like fans actually were like, do you know what? You deserved it. So it hurts us, but and Aussies, you know, they do know when to just go. Okay, we were beaten on the day, and you have to give it to them. That actually the fans are like, congratulations, but you broke our hearts. That was an interesting compliment to take. It's like, oh, okay, sorry about that. Like I'm finding myself apologizing to these strangers for breaking their kids' hearts or something. I'm like, okay.
I probably not really. I guess that's sport, though, really.
Yeah, yeah.
It's interesting to hear what you said about, obviously, you reach the pinnacle, you win that Commonwealth Games gold, and go back, okay, what's the next target, what's the competition? And obviously, you know, one year after the Commonwealth Games, you had the Home World Cup. And in that time, fair to say, netball really excelled. You won the Sports Personality of the Year, Team of the Year. You won the Sports Personality of the Year, Greatest Moment of the Year. You got, you know, Nike and Vitality involved in terms of your sponsorship. Participation rates grew. It was huge, the sport. And to host the Home World Cup, only the third time that England has done so, I bet it was, you know, perfect timing, really, where netball was so in the forefront of everyone's minds. But last summer, obviously, Home World Cup, you were captain of the Roses for that tournament. And I want to know, how did it feel being out the girls at Home World Cup in front of a jam-packed, incredible arena in Liverpool? And I guess I want to know in terms of the scouting event as well. It was broadcasted on TV, you know, it was in the papers every time. Like, how did that feel, being the captain and leading the girls out at that World Cup?
Yeah, well, it definitely goes down as like one of the most memorable tournaments, or I suppose like moments in my career. Both of those competitions, you know, like captain or not, I think just to be in at that England side at that time was just epic, because like you said, like, you know, it was almost like the perfect recipe. You win a Commonwealth gold in quite a dramatic fashion. You then get the national media recognition and a BBC Sports Personality Award, and then you kind of build yourself up into a Home World Cup. So yeah, it was something I never ever thought, obviously, that I would ever do for England. I was just happy as that, you know, 18, 20-year-old kid to be a part of the warm-up team, you know, but, you know, 8 years ago. And then I'm obviously stepping out, first one out there with with my teammates for Home World Cup. So it was a cool experience, you know, just really cool. And it's also quite humbling as well, because, you know, we had fans that had followed us from back in the day when we were losing to Australia and New Zealand by like 20 goals, 25 goals. And now all of a sudden, you know, we've got these fans that are actually going, yeah, girls, go on. We know you can actually go on and win this thing. And I think that was really, really nice to feel that with the crowd, and they were just with us every step of the way, every high, every low. And even when we lost that semi-final, which was like really devastating, because obviously like to lose in a semi-final is never a nice feeling, and when it's like a tournament like that, because you know you've got to pick yourself up for the next day and things like that. But then when it's at home, it just you do have that element that you feel like you're letting everyone down, because the crowd is there for you, majority of them, you know. So you really do feel that emotion and that energy in the arena. And when you haven't done it, just looking, I'll never forget looking around, and you had such a mixture of emotions. Like some people were still really proud of us, some people were devastated. It was such a mixed kind of energy and an emotional time after that game. But you know, I think without the crowd, I don't know whether we would have actually been able to get up and get over the line for the next day. So that's something I think we can always be grateful for as a team, and having a home World Cup and going, we can't leave these guys and leave this competition without getting something. You know, we've got to give them something, and we've got to give ourselves something. And luckily we did that in the end, despite, you know, being very disappointed and pretty devastated after that Kiwi semi-final game.
Well, I say that, you know, that kind of best teams, in that you win your final game, no matter what game that is, whether it be in the final, whether it be in the bronze medal. And actually, I think the character that you guys showed in turning it around from the, obviously, losing to the eventual winners, New Zealand in the semi, and then beating South Africa in that bronze medal game, to come away with a medal in the Home World Cup, that is still, you know, a phenomenal achievement.
Yeah, well, we also, it was almost a bit of we knew it was going to be a tricky game, because the South Africans have always been our bogey team. And we were like, if there's any time we can't slip up, it's now, you know, against these guys in our last game at Home World Cup. So we knew that we had to start really strong against those guys if we were going to have any chance in winning, because they're a team that just loves any kind of bit of momentum, any kind of like positive vibes out on the court. They just grow and snowball away. So we couldn't allow that from the beginning. And luckily, we were able to kind of, you know, quash them down early doors and stay in control of that game, which was great. But yeah, pretty knackered at the end of that one as well, I have to say, like, mentally and physically, but it was a great experience.
And in terms of obviously that final game, obviously you guys obviously must have put so much pressure on yourselves to come away with something, in being a bronze medal. How much do you think that actually having that home crowd and the home advantage did make to you coming away with that medal around your neck?
Yeah, I think it definitely spurs you on externally, because you can see it. You step out and there's like red and white and England flags, and you know, whilst it is it's supposed to be like a neutral event, you know, you come out and you're seeing your own home colours, and people are very much, you know, rooting for you and wanting you to get over the line. So I think that is a massive. It's just a massive help, really. And you know, if there's any time you're feeling a bit nervous or a bit anxious, you just look out to the crowd and you just kind of put all your energy into them and your teammates, you know, and that's kind of how you roll with it. So home advantage is a wonderful thing. Unfortunately, not wonderful enough to get us over the line in the semi-final game, but you know, that, like I say, that is sport. And yeah, we just didn't do enough that day, unfortunately, which is always gonna grate on us, especially on me. But you know, that is what it is.
Yeah, the whole event, you know, seeing you guys, you know, excel so well in terms of coming away with a bronze medal, the whole event, you know, the spectacle that England netball put on over that, you know, couple of week period was just incredible. And I guess that kind of shows the direction where netball's going in this country. And I think, you know, it's exciting for you guys at the moment, how well you're doing. Obviously, the credit that you are rightly receiving, so good on you. But anyway, I hope you don't mind, but I've got a few questions from social media for you.
All right, now, yeah, hit me.
I've been inundated. I've never been so popular within the netball community, so I thank you for that. But my first question actually comes from a hockey account, all right?
Okay.
It's actually a good question. It's from Rebel Hockey on Twitter. And they said, the Netball Super League is increasing in popularity and quality as a domestic competition. Do you see this as making a positive contribution to the national side?
Oh, yeah, massively. I think, you know, if you look at Australia, where the best league in the world is the Suncorp Super Netball, you know, that league is the best league and they have the best players. So that can only help, you know, bring on your national team, and more importantly, competition for places in that national team as well, because, you know, you want to be having 8, 9, 10 teams all being able to compete and all being able to train more professionally for longer, so girls can go out there and compete at the best of their ability. So, you know, you need the league to keep improving if you're going to help the national side. The more girls we've got training as professionally as possible, you know, the more chances we've got of finding our next superstars. And, you know, girls need time to train in order to be able to achieve that, you know. And I think even now, if we had a league like the Suncorp, I think we'd see England like grow from strength to strength in, you know, double the amount of time, because we've got girls who are training their butts off, who are really good players, but you give them the opportunity to go 10, 12 more hours a week than what they're able to now. I think you'd see them go from here to here, and, you know, we would be pretty consistent global contenders. So, you know, that's the exciting part, I think, of where we're at with the league. The challenge is obviously, how do we bridge that gap to enable those girls to, you know, to go from here to here, and also keep our competition product exciting, because it can only go so far when we are where we are at the moment. We need investment for us to be able to continue to climb as athletes, you know, and franchises and coaches and managers and physios. You know, we need, like, it's not just about the athletes, it's the whole, as you know yourself, it takes a lot of different things to make something professional, not just the playing part.
No, I think it's quite interesting. Obviously, you've seen it from the other side in Australia, where it is a professional league. Do you see that as like a realistic aim for England netball, to make, you know, the whole league across the board professional in terms of, you know, contact time, thing like that?
Yeah, I think, well, if it can be done there, it can be done here. And that's the way I always see something. If that, you know, and you see it in sport a lot. You see, like, for example, like the Super 16 rugby, all of a sudden it becomes the Super 18. You've got teams from South Africa and Japan all competing, and you know, they found a way to make it work. And I think, you know, we can model ourselves on a Suncorp and within trying to make these teams more professional and stand alone and their own business enterprises, where they can pay people properly to be a part of something. And, you know, I think England netball do want that. It's just how they go about trying to achieve that as an organisation. But, you know, we've got obviously a great new CEO with Fran Connolly. She's really commercially driven, and I think, you know, she will be looking at how, you know, different ways that we can do that. But we have to be inventive, because we're still in that grey period, you know, where we're trying to push into a more semi-professional era. But it's like, how do you do that when you're lacking funding and facilities and time, and you're fighting against football and cricket and hockey and all these other amazing sports, you know, for airtime? So it's tricky, but it's definitely possible. And yeah, and if we manage to get there, I mean, this could be one of the best places in the world to come and play netball in, which would be an amazing thing for us to say as English netballers, and a, you know, a strong netballing nation. That'd be a really, really cool thing to be able to say.
The success that you've already had, you know, especially recently, if this change could happen, blimey, sky's the limit, right, for you guys?
It definitely is, yeah.
Really interesting conversation. Okay, so I've got time for one more, I think. So Molly on Instagram, so she plays centre for her school year 9 team, and
cool.
I want to know, can you suggest any training tips that she can do at home right now during lockdown?
Yeah, so it's Molly, right?
Yeah.
Cool. Well, look, depending on what you've got obviously available to you, I'm lucky at the moment. I've got myself a set of cones and some ladders and things like that. But footwork is really important when it comes to netball, because, you know, a lot of the movement that we do is actually before we even catch the ball. So anything with cones, whether it's moving your feet around, coming out, coming back, setting out different shapes and sizes, jumping over, sprinting up to one, dropping back to another. You can even use like ketchup bottles, mustard bottles, water bottle, a pillow, a jumper, whatever it is. you know, a mug, you know, maybe don't smash that. That'll be quite a good one to, you know, you don't want to smash your parents' glasses or anything like that. But yeah, just anything that you can do. And if you've got a little bit of space, whether it be in your living room, and don't be afraid if it's a small space, because in netball, you have to get free in a small space. So it's actually really, really cool to be able to practice that in your house or in your backyard or in your courtyard. And yeah, just be really creative. Now's a great time. And if you've got a wall and a ball, even if it's a tennis ball or different size balls and different handling things you can do, just to try and keep your hand-eye coordination really, really sharp, and mix it up with some of the footwork stuff, and I think you'll be onto a pretty tough session.
I'm not going to lie, I feel like I've just changed my whole training schedule for the next week or so with that. That's a lot more fun than what I've been doing. But Molly, if you try any of that stuff out, make sure you let me know, because, I mean, that sounds like a lot of fun. I'll give you that. Okay, well, I think you've given us into a bit of gossip in terms of what you recommend with your lockdown training. Considering first nearly up, my cup of tea is pretty empty. I don't know about yours.
Yeah, I'm not going to tip it again just in case I spill it, but yeah, I'm pretty much all gone.
Probably don't do that, but I'm going to ask you what kind of, right? Okay.
Maybe.
Now I'm giving you, Serena Guthrie, all the power. Okay, and you're going to decide what my first question is for my next guest on Thursday's Cuppa and Natter. Okay, so make it a good one. I'm trusting you with this one.
Okay, I want to know. So your next guest, what I really want to know is what they've been doing in lockdown that maybe they've never done before, but because they're in lockdown, they're finding themselves doing it. Because I'm seeing a lot of stuff on Instagram at the moment, like Sasha Corbin and Kadeen Corbin, netballers, were out on bikes. I don't think I've ever seen them cycle in my life. And I was like, whoa, like, you know, lockdown's making people do all different kinds of things. And yeah, I just want to know if there's anything that your next guest has done that they never maybe have done if it wasn't for lockdown.
I feel like that's a very good question. I want to ask you though, have you made the all-important banana bread yet?
Do you know what? I haven't, but I'm on the sourdough train. So we're so, you know, I avoided the banana bread. I was like, oh, I'm trying not to fall into, like, you know, COVID patterns for everybody else, like baking stuff. But yeah, we probably will get there after the sourdough. I don't know what else there is. Maybe it'll have to be banana bread.
Let me know if you do cake into the banana. But time, thank you so much. I really appreciate you joining us. I mean, it's been fascinating. I could literally listen to you talk about, you know, how passionate you are about netball, where you see it going in the future. I could listen to you all day, but I honestly really appreciate you joining us. So thank you so much.
That's a pleasure. Had a lot of fun.
Yeah. Well, okay. So basically, on Wednesday at 5 p.m, my next guest will be revealed. We already know the first question they're going to be asked, but on Wednesday, keep your eyes peeled. But in the meantime, keep that kettle boiled, keep chatting and using the hashtag Cuppa and Natter, and seeing you again on Thursday, same time, same place. Serena Guthrie, thank you so much, you legend. Thank you.
No worries. Thanks, mate. Thank you.